Well, I think there's no question anymore about my president, that the mask has been removed, that anyone who had any doubt all of these years who Barack Obama was in terms of his relationship with Israel, with the people of Israel, the mask has now been removed once and for all. And now we see who we're dealing with. He is now clearly the hero of the terrorists, of Hamas, of Hezbollah. That's what our president in the United States, you know, all over the Middle East there is chaos. The situation in Syria, in Aleppo, in other parts of the Middle East, our president is silent. You don't hear a word. He is an utter, complete failure. The one country in the world that he is a gibor is against the people of Israel, who are surrounded by enemies who want to destroy Israel. So if there was any doubt, all of these years, people like myself spoke out for many years because we were concerned about a president of the United States who from the very beginning of his presidency 7 years ago did something that no other president did, not even Jimmy Carter, where he talked about that Israel has no right to build anywhere in Judea, Samaria, and even in Jerusalem. No other president has ever said that before. He set a new standard for the Palestinians. Because, and by the way, and he ended the peace process, whatever peace process there was, because of his actions. You know, I am ashamed. I am embarrassed. As a Democrat, forget it. You know, the good news is that we have a new administration coming in. Not just President-elect Trump, but also many of the people around him understand exactly. They understand what Israel represents to the world as a friend of the United States. The people in that administration, the United States Senate and the House of Representatives, Baruch Hashem, we have those friendships. I know people are very upset, and I know people are saying many things here in Israel, and they should be a little careful. Be careful what you say, because you may be 100% right, but the New York Times and the Washington Post, that is not a friend of Israel, takes the words of even a member of the Knesset that no one knows who they are, and they use those words, those strong words, against the people of Israel. But thank God we are going to have, hopefully, some major change. Very soon, a couple of weeks, we will have that change. But as far as President Barack Obama, you know, in all the years that he has been president, I have never used the word Barack Hussein Obama. Now I have to say he is Hussein Obama. The first time in all the years, it's almost 8 years, I have never used those words. But now I feel different. He is a true friend of our enemies. Our enemies were given a victory they did not deserve. And it is really a very sad day. America is a great friend of Israel and will continue to be a great friend of Israel. And Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, I am very sad that he has set a standard for the world, for our enemies, that never existed before. This resolution is something that undermines the people of Israel, the state of Israel, and it undermines democracy all over the world. This is not how you treat friends. Barack Obama is much better in terms of the way he treats the Ayatollah from Iran, the way he treats our enemies, the dictatorships of the world, the one democracy in the world. He takes a knife and stabs it in the back, and that is Israel. The United Nations is a place where people, he didn't say this, but you know, everybody wears a nice suit and tie, and they have a lot of parties and a lot of cocktails, and they make a lot of speeches and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you know, one of the main functions of the United Nations, of 160 countries, over 160 countries, is to attack the state of Israel, a country of over 6 million Jews. There's no one else in the world that the United Nations picks on a regular basis to condemn, to ostracize. the people of Israel. No other country. There's no other country in the world that is treated the way Israel is treated. So I wish to God that the new president, President Trump, sends a very clear message to the United Nations. We are either going to be soft or we're going to be tough. And there's a time to be tough. And the United States of America, which, by the way, pays more than half of all the expenses of the United Nations, will send a very powerful message in terms of my tax dollars going for this cesspool. It is a cesspool. The United Nations is a cesspool. And I hope that the United States will finally, with President Trump, see it for what it is and really take strong action in terms of funding, like the Israelis say they are going to do. That would be a very, very powerful message. By the way, the United Nations does many good things, humanitarian. Let them do that and forget about the rest of it.
To focus on Israel, that in Syria, thousands of people. So
listen, the sheker of the United Nations, not just the United Nations, but the nations of the world. We all watch what's going on in the world. We watched in Aleppo how men, women, and children were being murdered every single day, with Iran involved, the Russians involved, and of course the Syrian government with Assad. Did you hear anything? Did anyone speak out? Did anyone take any action? Just the opposite. Just the opposite. By the way, the Russians are one of the permanent members of the United Nations that voted against Israel. The Russians are dropping bombs on men, women, and children. Where's the United Nations? Where is the humanitarian part of the United Nations to condemn Russia dropping bombs on men, women, and children? I mean, the chutzpah it's unbelievable. But you know what? I have to say that, Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, we are always faced with difficulty. We have to speak out. We have to be strong. We have to have bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But we have to be strong, and we have to not be afraid of our enemies. We will always have challenges, always difficulties. I never thought that any president of the United States could compete with Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was the worst president ever for the people of Israel. When he was president, and since he was president, he is still a horrible individual in terms of the people of Israel. You know something? Jimmy Carter is starting to look very good compared to Barack Hussein Obama. Really. It's unbelievable. It's not an easy thing to accomplish. But Barack Hussein Obama has managed to accomplish that. He basically stabbed Israel in the back. He talked about, protecting Israel's back. This is what he said. He talked about being a great friend and protecting Israel's back. With such friends, it's beyond comprehension to have, and by the way, doing it, as they say, at the end of his administration, when everything is finished, and he knows there's a new president coming in. It was meant, it was petty, it was little on the part of the President of the United States, because part of it was to stick it to the Prime Minister of Israel. This is not a game. Israel cannot afford to lose once. Our enemies can lose many times and continue to survive. You don't play with Israel's survival, and that's exactly what the President of the United States did as his administration. Look, I don't know, he's very upset. He's very upset that his entire world, everything that he thinks he accomplished, everything will be zero. And the one place in the world he wants to stick it to, the one place in the world, he has nothing else. The people of Israel? I am embarrassed as an American that my president would be so petty.
Okay, the last question about it, we don't mention about Jerusalem. I think that it is absurd that we have a 3,000 history and they want to delete that in 1 second. it's absurd.
Well, it was actually the United Nations that not too long ago basically said that the Kotel, the Western Wall, was not part of the history of the Jewish people. We have nothing to do with the Western Wall. We have nothing to do with Jerusalem. It's beyond belief. But you know something? Our enemies repeat the lies, and they believe their own lies. That's what propaganda is. It's what Goebbels did in Nazi Germany. You repeat a lie again and again, you start believing it. The people start believing it. But you know, Israel is strong. The people of Israel are strong. And Jerusalem will always be united as the eternal capital of the people of Israel. And Jerusalem will continue to be built for the Jewish people. As I said before, from the very beginning of the Obama administration, you know, building in Gilo. I remember when Biden was here and there was a disaster. We embarrassed the Vice President of the United States. I said, what happened? What did we do? What did we do? Did someone smack him? I mean, what happened here? And, oh, they're building in Gilo. Gilo? Gilo is no different than any part of Jerusalem. Gilo is a problem. Ramot is a problem. All of these places, this is part of the consensus from the past, from President Bush and so on. But this President Barack Hussein Obama, he set a goal from the very beginning of we should remember that from the speech at Cairo University 7 years ago, the first major foreign policy speech that Barack Obama made was to undermine Israel and to stab Israel in the back. And now, as he leaves office, he is vindictive. He's angry. He wants to show the Jews. You know, he wants to show the Jews. It's very, very, very sad as an American. As a Democrat, it's sad to see our president be vindictive and petty.